I'm so sick, sick, sick and tired of working just to be retired. I don't want to get that far. I don't want your company car. Promotions ain't my thing.
I'm going to Barnsley.
Being brought up in the small northern town of Barnsley in a working class family was the main reason for my chosen theme for 6.3. Northern culture is a source of working class culture and elite marginalisation. I wanted to research how northern working class culture is reflected through film, music and art. I personally believe that practitioners who were raised in a working class environment reflect the experience realistically as they've lived it themselves. Playwriter Andrea Dunbar wrote The Arbour, which is based on a 15-year-old girl who falls pregnant with her Pakistani boyfriend on a racist estate. Andrea's work explores similar themes, mainly around the brutality of working class life. Many could suggest the success of her work was down to Andrea experiencing the brutality herself. Andrea was raised on Buttershaw Council Estate in Bradford and fell pregnant herself at 15 years old. From her point of view, she was writing her own story and the reality of it. I relate to her work personally coming from Barnsley, as many of the events that take place in her writing have not happened to me personally, but I've witnessed myself growing up in a small working class town. However, some could suggest that many people dislike the reflection of the working class and how the media presents this to us. For example, Andrea Dunbar's writing of Rita Sue and Bob 2 was taken into cinemas in 1987, resulting in Dunbar disowning the film due to other writers changing the ending of the original. Despite Dunbar disowning the film, she still received threats about the film due to its bad portrayal of the Buttershaw estate where the film took place, and Andrea Dunbar lived there at the time. I believe that the film is a strong reflection of the working class in the 1980s and implies how northern culture revolves a lot about being realistic and straight away. For me personally, music that is based around growing up in the north in a working class environment is what I relate to the most. Sam Fender's Hypersonic Missiles album is the most recent album that I've listened to and related to personally. Sam Fender explains in an interview with Radio X that the album is written from a point of view from someone who is in their early 20s, realising how messed up the world is and how little they can do to solve it. This comment hit home for me as I turned 21 in just a couple of months and completely relate to what Sam is saying about the meaning behind the album. Whilst researching northern and working class culture, I believe that writers, artists and musicians reflect the culture the best, as they've lived the reality themselves, and this results in working class viewers admiring this work as they relate to the work personally. Growing up in Barnsley, I've experienced a situation where I'm aware of what's wrong in the world and I see it on the news or I've been affected by it. However, with living in a small town comes small minds. Working class people in most cases are affected by the issues in society the most, but their actions have the least impact. As a result of this, I think this is why working class creative practitioners take their own experience and display this through music, film and art.
And that's kind of what it ended up centered around this sort of character who's a complete and utter tinfoil hatter, who loosely based on myself.
Suggest that the working class are aware of their disadvantage and how the working class are viewed, and in some cases embrace it. The Arctic Monkeys album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, is based around northern nightlife and pub culture. The album creates this idea that even though the north is seen as grim and has disadvantages, it's still good and it's home. Alex Turner was labelled as a master of observation from this album, as his description of Sheffield nightlife is spot on.
Who are you?
Alex.
From?
Sheffield.
From?
Arctic Monkeys.
From the Arctic Monkey, don't you?
This links back to the point I made about the working class being aware of the issues in society but not having the platform or the privilege to take action. Despite this, there is also a sense of pride about being northern reflected in this album. Turner exaggerates the idea of where he lives is only a small town in the north, but it's home and everyone knows each other and it's a community.
Although you're trying not to listen, but your eyes are staring at the ground. She makes a subtle proposition.
I relate to this as a lot of my life in Barnsley requires living for the weekend because there's nothing else to do there. The lifestyle of youths in Barnsley requires working a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 and living for the weekend, where you go to the same pubs, see the same people and drink the same alcohol. Despite feeling this towards Barnsley, it's still my home and the town looks completely different to me than what it would in comparison to someone who is from Manchester or London, because it's home and I've got memories here and stuck with the people I've grown up with from a young age. One of Alex Turner's inspirations growing up was poet John Cooper Clarke. Clarke has a similar observation to Turner on northern culture, and for my studio practice I explored the poem Twat, which exaggerates the gritty and grim side of being northern. Just like Turner's lyrics, there's a sense of pride within his poems and being proud to be northern. Reflecting this idea through typography, I exaggerated the accent of John Cooper Clarke by using the comparison of a simple small typeface alongside a bold yet simple typeface. I wanted to display the same attitude Alex Turner and John Cooper Clarke displayed to their work, to reflect the idea that even though the North and the working class can be looked down on for their grimness and straight-talking attitude, there is also a strong sense of pride in being Northern. I created a publication called A Little Bit of Tarn, exploring and celebrating Barnsley slang. I took inspiration from the miners' strikes that took place in Barnsley and the posters that were created for the strikes. Using a simple layout with bold red and black type, I displayed different sayings and phrases used in my hometown. I tested it as posters to start with, but then developed my signs into a publication as this outcome delivered my design more successfully. The miners' strike is a strong example of the working class taking action from an event in society that has had a huge impact on them. Most of the media displayed the miners who had lost their jobs as violent and aggressive. What they did not show was a town that had had its community and success taken away from them. Overall, I believe that the working class reflecting their own experience through film, music and art sometimes makes a bigger impact. I think this is due to their experience being relatable to many others who have grown up in the northern working class towns. Whether the experience is a grim reality or being proud to be northern, it still makes an impact on viewers and is one of the main reasons I'm proud to be working class.
I've husband on nights. Frig off and wash your bastard curtains, you dirty cow.